Hot Springs Village Inside Out is a closer look at the greatness of Hot Springs Village, Arkansas and the surrounding areas. People, places, experiences. Hot Springs Village is one of the most beautiful places on earth. Join me, Randy Cantrell, and my co-host Dennis Simpson as we engage in weekly conversations to explore Hot Springs Village Inside Out. Today's show is brought to you by Central Arkansas's favorite radio station, KVRE. Find them on the dial at 92.9 FM. Stream them live at kvre.com. Today's show is brought to you by RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village. The award-winning RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village is the largest real estate office inside the village with over 30 full-time agents and support staff. Visit them to learn more about this beautiful place to solve your real estate needs. Call them at 1-800-364-9007. Find them online at explorehsv.com. They are RE/MAX of Hot Springs Village at 1-800-364-9007 or online at explorehsv.com. HSV Inside Out is also brought to you by Ike Eisenhower State Farm. Ike and his award-winning team have been serving the insurance needs of folks all around Hot Springs Village since 1998. Ike has qualified for State Farm's President's Club, Chairman's Circle, and Hot Springs Village Insurance Agent of the Year. Call Ike Eisenhower State Farm today at 501-984-4100. That's 501-984-4100. Find them online at ikeeisenhower.net. Call them today for all your insurance needs because, like a good neighbor, Ike Eisenhower State Farm is there. I'm fanatical about customer service. It's a hazard of running retail companies virtually my entire life. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about customer experiences inside the village. And no, this isn't going to be a negative show. It's going to be a very realistic show. Hi, I'm Randy Cantrell. Greetings and welcome to HotSpringsVillageInsideOut.com. Before I start, I want you to hit subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're pushing 1,000 subscribers, and, well, we want to go way, way past that. So I would greatly appreciate it if you would hit the subscribe button and hit that thumbs up, that like button. Coming from a bigger city, and many of you have, and many of you are in bigger cities. And while we do hear regularly from folks that are in smaller communities or smaller towns, there are an awful lot of you that we hear from bigger cities like Dallas-Fort Worth, Houston, Chicago, Oklahoma City, Des Moines, all over. When you come from a bigger market where there is more competition, and frankly there is, and I don't want to be misunderstood when I use this word, sophistication. I don't mean by that highbrow. I don't mean more intelligent. I don't mean smarter. They're just, when companies are dealing with a lot more people, there is just some level of sophistication is the only word that comes to mind that you experience. Now, sophistication does not mean that they're good at their craft. It does not mean that they are high value. It just means that they've got this way of conducting themselves because it's a bigger market. It's super competitive, and frankly, you have to. And if you don't learn that level of sophistication when you're in a big market, say like a Dallas-Fort Worth, well, you just get your brains beat out, to be pointed. Coming to the village, there are a few things that you should be aware of. The demographics clearly do lean toward those of us that are a little older. That is skewing increasingly younger and younger, especially I think for two reasons. One, COVID, which drove people to do more remote work, and B, high-speed internet. The village is just now seeing the first entrances of fiber internet technology. Hopefully in the next year or two, that will become more pervasive. Where I live, I have gigabit service. That's great for downloads, but for those of us that need upload speeds, okay, it's not so great. That's the reason that fiber is so terrific. And those of you that work remotely and have to do a lot of uploads and downloads, you get it, and the rest of you, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. That has caused the demographics in the village to change, and that's a good thing. I mentioned the demographics because older folks, unfortunately, we tend to be preyed upon, P-R-E-Y-E-D. And we are preyed upon because people may assume that we have some degree of gullibility. They may assume that as we get older in life, that there is a naivete about us, that there is an unsophistication that just comes with growing older. And all of that, by the way, can be true. There's a reason that scammers prevail in going after senior citizens. Many of us don't keep up with all the technology. As we get older in life, we may not necessarily be all that interested in learning various new technologies, although I think that's changing dramatically as my crowd, the boomers, we have had to acclimate to so much technology. I was telling somebody the other day, when I started my career, well, when I first started as a teenager, there were no fax machines, there was no cell phone, there was no internet, and initially no push-button phones. People are like, man, how did you guys communicate? I jokingly said smoke signals. I had to explain what a smoke signal was. Yeah, that's how old I am. Customer service, though, in the village, you just have to be aware that, and this isn't, I'm not saying everybody, I'm not painting with that broad of a brush, but there are individuals and there are companies that will prey upon the demographics of the village, because unfortunately people can make two assumptions. They can make the assumption that you're older and they can take advantage. They may also make the assumption you're moving here and you got money. Well, both of those can be true. You can be older and you can have money, but that doesn't mean you're going to be taken advantage of. And it's the reason that I bring up that level of sophistication. Let me give you a for instance. We wanted to have, I'm sitting on our back porch. I love it back here. It's screened in and it's great. When I started putting feelers out to find somebody to screen in our back patio, I was flooded pretty quickly with people who gave me price quotes. I would tell you that 95% of them never came and laid eyes on the space, never got any dimensions from me, but just threw a quote out there. And those quotes, I will tell you, ranged from, now we're talking about two sides. So I'm sitting up against the back of the house. To my left over here is another side of the house. So in front of me, screens, and then over on this side, screens. I don't know, we're talking 9 feet by 20 feet. I'm guessing, I'm spitballing. And a door. So while it's a decent size area, we're not talking about 3 sides or 4 sides. We're talking about 2 sides, one long one and one kind of shorter one. And the prices that I was quoted, again, I had 2 out of I don't know, out of a big number. Only 2 people even came and looked. They both did take measurements. One, I will just tell you, was rough as a cob. It was not a professional. Did not knock, pulled in, walked to the back, started measuring. I come back outside, and I'm like, can I help you? I have no idea this guy's even coming. And he tells me who he is and who he is affiliated with. And it's just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. He's written down a couple of things, and he writes some chicken scratch on a piece of paper and hands it to me, and that's his quote. I had another individual who came that I ultimately ended up hiring, who was very professional, scheduled a time to come where he could lay eyes on it, talk to us about what we wanted, mainly Rhonda and my wife, and took measurements and spent some time talking to us, telling us about various options and things. And we ended up doing business with him. Big shock. The prices ranged everywhere from his price, which happened to be super competitive, if not inexpensive, at least by the standards that we were dealing with. We had prices everywhere from $12,000 on a high side, obviously, which I was just like, what? You haven't even come and looked at it. Just kind of blew my mind. I would say we saw prices from 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, almost $12,000, all from people who never even came to visit, which told me some things. It told me, well, A, they've either got so much business, they're just not going to be bothered with going to really check it out, and they're just going to throw a price out there in hopes that, I'm just such a hungry fish that I'll just take that bait, which I'm not going to do that. But it turns out that the fellow that we hired, which you can find him, and this is not a paid endorsement, this is not a sponsored, well, it's sponsored, but it's sponsored by Remax and by State Farm here in the village. hsscreens.com. hsscreens.com is James. He goes by Jay, and I think it's Guy, Gouy. And I'll put links to this because, hey, I want to show some love to people that just do it right. So he came out and he measured. He talked to us about things. After he did his measurements, he did some calculations, and he told us what the cost would be. And he said, I'm going to go ahead and forewarn you, I'm slow. I'm one guy, and I'm busy, but I'll get to it. And he gave us a time frame. Well, we didn't have guns to our head. We weren't in a hurry. And so we're like, yeah, that's fine. And sure enough, he was absolutely right. Jay is slow. He's good, but he's slow, and it was fine. But again, he told us up front what to expect, and out of, I would say out of, I'm guessing here, 13, 15 different outfits that shot us insanely, wildly varying prices. The only one that just handled it, I thought, very professionally and didn't try to elevate the expectation. He did good work. Rhonda had him come out. There was a little bit of a gap underneath the door. He came out and he fixed that. He warranties the work. It's just, we couldn't be happier. It's one of those things. I can tell you who not to do business with. I'm not going to do that. So I'm just telling you, who I have chosen to do business with. But I'm giving you a little bit of a warning. The new people that come to the village, we have these conversations, but we don't have them on the record. So I'm like, you need to hear this. If you're trying to decide whether to move here or not, this is just one of those things to be mindful of. It is not a warning. It's not, I got a big news flash for you, because I've got friends that are all over the country in communities like this one, where it's largely kind of retirement communities. And every single one of them have got these stories. So there's nothing new about this. You just, it's the rule of the road, no matter where you are, buyer beware. Let me talk to you about dentist. True story. My dentist back in Texas that I'd had for years and years, he sells his practice to a younger guy. I didn't much care for him. He was a little, he was a little too cocky. He was a little too full of himself to suit me, but I didn't want to break in a new dentist. I had gone to this same practice for years and years, so I went. COVID hit, and of course, nobody could go. And when COVID let up, I went in, and I had a problem with a back tooth. I had chipped it, and I knew I was going to need a cap or something, or a crown. And so I got that fixed. And he produces this long list of things that I'm going to need. And it totaled $8,000. And I just like, what? Oh yeah, you've got a cavity here and a cavity here. And I couldn't tell you the last time I had a cavity. And he was real critical of his predecessor's work. Yeah, and that filling, probably we need to redo that one. I mean, I'm telling you, I've got the printout. It was a long list of things. And I've never had problems. My teeth aren't the whitest, and they never have been. And I'm not a coffee drinker or anything. I've just never had pearly whites. So I'm like, well, that's ridiculous. But I'm assuming he's on the level. And I'm not going to do anything, obviously. I'm not about to go to this guy for $8,000 because I don't even like him. So we decide that we're going to find a dentist when we get here in the village. And so I put the word out, and I got a number of great recommendations. In fact, I'll go on record and tell you that all of the dentists that are here inside the village, they've all got great reputations. So this is a good thing. This is also unique. And so far I have found that it's only in dentistry that I have found that this is true. But even the dentist that I chose, she was very forthcoming. And, oh, listen, we all get along, and, it's a great fraternity of dentists. So I chose Dr. Christy Golden. Dr. Christy Golden is with Plaza Carmona Dental Associates. I'll put her information. And it was without a doubt. I started to say it might be, but no, I'm going to go on record and tell you it is. It is the best dentist experience I've had. And I've had some stuff. But without a doubt, from the cleaning and the hygienist and to Dr. Christie, can't recommend her enough. So much so that I suggested that that's where my wife needed to go. And she did. So, and by the way, healthcare and that sort of stuff, everybody that I talk to have got great experiences here. So those of you that are looking at the village, and we'll do some deeper dives into some of the healthcare stuff, because I split my time between here and Texas. All of my doctors, all of that stuff, my primary physician, they're all in Texas. But for dentistry, I'm choosing to keep my dollars right here. Let me go all the way back to when we bought our house. And when we bought our house, we bought it from a builder. And the title company that I had been recommended by Dennis was Advantage Title and Escrow. And I was fortunate that we had Marla Caldwell, who is the branch manager. We had Marla on our show. And so I knew her enough, and let me tell you, for a guy that has bought and sold some houses before, a number of them in my lifetime, easily the best experience. Without question, the best experience. Marla Caldwell, Advantage Title and Escrow. I don't know anything about the other title escrow companies around. I'm not saying anything bad about anybody. I'm just telling you, again, this is just my experience. Man, everything from the honey-do list that you might need, landscaping needs you might have, flooring that you might need, furniture that you might want to buy. There are plenty of really good providers in the village. You just have to be careful. And to each his own. Me, I'm really fanatical about customer experience. And if your price is dirt cheap, but my initial experience with you is you don't call me back, or you show up and you start measuring around my house and I don't even know you're coming, I don't care. I don't care. I'm out. We can just cut it right now, and I'll be on my way. That's me. You do you. But you do need to be aware that pricing for just about everything here, it can vary wildly. And there are going to be some folks that are willing to take unfair advantage. They do not, in my experience, they do not tend to be the folks that you will regularly hear folks promote or regularly hear folks talk really, really good about. I could name a number of companies that I have not dealt with because I don't have the need yet, but I'm thinking right now of Heating and Air. I won't name names because I don't want to do that because I haven't used anybody. But I know who my first phone call is going to be, and that is going to be based on all of the word of mouth that I hear about how great this particular owner of this particular company is. Now, not everybody operates that way. I'm personally real respectful of those people who have great word of mouth reputation because folks tell other folks, hey, here's who I used, and they're great and they're wonderful. And you will find, I can't, off the top of my head, I can't think of any service, any goods or services that you would need either in the village or even if you go to Hot Springs or even if you go the other direction to Benton. I can't think of anything that you could possibly need that you won't find multiple options for some really good providers who will be fair and square and honest. You just have to be mindful when you move here that there are going to be some folks that can pull up in a pickup truck and some good old boy can, shoot you a deal. You just got to be mindful of it. Me, coming from a big city, I'm kind of skeptical. I'm cynical enough to kind of steer clear of that kind of behavior. And again, you do you. But today I can tell you for a fact, these are 3 outfits that I have used. Marla Caldwell at Advantage Title and Escrow. Dr. Christy Golden, that's Christy with a Kristi, at Plaza Carmona Dental Associates. And Jay, I don't know if it's Guy or it looks like it might be pronounced Goy, but I don't think that's right. It's Gouy, and you can find him at hsscreens.com. These are just 3. These are just 3. I've got some folks that have done some other stuff. The Yellow Studio, which is where I record from for all of my podcasts, and I do most all of my virtual coaching from. Dennis's brother-in-law and sister have done just some superb stuff for me. And I'd give them a shout out, but I don't think they want any more business. That's a good position to be in, isn't it? Listen, they're kind of retired. They keep saying they're retired, but between Dennis and me and a few other people, we keep putting them to work. So there are great opportunities. That's what I kind of want to end with. There are some great opportunities because there are a number of people who've come here to the village and they've got certain skills, and there's a market for an awful lot of really good quality people who do good quality work. But come on, there's that opportunity everywhere, and you already knew that.
Thanks for watching and listening to Hot Springs Village Inside Out, a weekly podcast starring Hot Springs Village, Arkansas. Visit the website at hotspringsvillageinsideout.com.